Welcome everyone to the
Yanni,
aftermath. It is the
whoa!
LPL recap here. Very excited to get underway with episode 4 as we have just concluded the opening matches as well as a round 2 matchup. A few matches along the way, which did show that some teams were ready to step up, some were not, and some really need to learn what Otacon is. We are heading into this one, going over all the matches as well as taking some predictions into the future. We got myself, we got Ferris, and as well as Yanni Sleep. Oh, wait, no. We actually have gotten word that Yanni is actually awake and with us. Yanni is joining us
Oh,
after
yo.
about 5 weeks of waiting. We are
Too
here.
long.
Yanni, you basically the originator of this, and unfortunately haven't been able to join us. We are so happy to have you here. We've had your thoughts along the way, and obviously we have seen you on the LPL English, even featured on the Riot side of Twitter. And I mean, it's been a time. How have you been enjoying the LPL so far?
Dude, it's great. I love the LPL. I've had such a great time following along with this league and being able to cast it. And honestly, after watching it so much, League of Legends in other regions is just not the same, bro.
Nope.
I was at the 100 not the 100th. I was at the watch party put together by Dave Shynock the other day up in New York, and like I'm watching NA League of Legends and I'm like, they're not tower diving when the top laner's level 1? What are these guys doing? You know, in the LPL, it's 1 kill to 1 at this point, but
Yeah.
not so. But very excited to get talking about the playoffs and a lot of the results that we had because while we did see one team unfortunately disappoint, we still have a team that's a surprise team that's making their run.
I love how you say that, and it's for fair reason because I think there was a lot of hype. But before that, I got to ask you. I mean, we got to ask Slayer about this before as well. And I want to get your thoughts on this because obviously you mentioned the differences within the LPL comparatively to somewhere like LTA North and South. You know, the different environments. But LPL obviously had one of the more, I would say, uphill challenges in terms of scheduling. You know, a BO5 basically every single night. There were a lot more
Whoa.
games to be played. And I want to get your thoughts on this because obviously you've also seen LTA North and all, and they play vastly fewer games and such. Did you enjoy the fact that LPL had so many games, especially as a caster on a lot of those broadcasts?
100%. And I think the big reason why is one thing before I get into why I like it so much is the only thing is obviously the time for somebody on the East Coast like me. It's really rough. It's at a
Yeah.
time where I work a lot of mornings, but the games are usually over by the time I start work.
Mm.
So I'm already asleep for most of them. Obviously, if I'm on a cast, I make arrangements and things like that. But I always go back and watch, and it's always great. So I love baseball, right? And I promise we'll get around to it. The thing I love about baseball is that there's like games almost every day. I really, really enjoy that. And I really love the fact that it's like there is League of Legends being played every single day. That is great. I want more of that.
I think that's a very real statement. I mean, even Ferris and Slayer have agreed that yeah, this brings not only an enjoyment to the audience, maybe for some of us that have a little bit of sleep issues. We're up at that time. For me, it's about 3 a.m. as well, and I think all of us here can basically say we love it. Not only that, the experience that the teams have gotten. I mean, Ferris, we see this skill come out in a lot of the matchups, and I think this playoffs is even showcasing even more of that skill, but even more zaniness almost. We've seen some of the aggression come out here, maybe some not so big understandings as some of the current meta situations, such as Otacon, such as, some of these global objective games in the playoffs so far. Before we dive in, before we get into the nitty gritty of all this stuff in the aftermath of these opening rounds, did the playoffs so far stack up to your expectations in terms of gameplay, in terms of the players, in terms of what we normally see from a regular season into the playoff run?
Oh, yeah. No, it's been like in terms of enjoyment, it's been fantastic. And there's been a pretty, as we'll get into later, there's been a pretty good amount of sort of variability as well. A lot of people's predictions that I've seen online are now completely done and over with. Like there's no perfect brackets. But yeah, dude, we got series going all 5 games. We got crazy moments. We got, maybe not theoretical upsets, but we got, series results that not a lot of people were expecting. We got crazy matches. It is very easily, and again, format best of fives. We got like these teams are getting a lot of reps. It's a really crazy league in general. It has a history of being super bloody, super fun. Absolutely. It has definitely paid off and been what we would expect from the LPL playoffs, 100%.
We love to see it, but of course we do have to dive into nitty gritty because some expectations were held very, very astutely by the one that has been sleeping and basically just been predicting the future, and then there were some hiccups. So we have to start with the biggest hiccup that pretty much everyone on the desk and as well as a lot of hopefuls out there, unfortunately, had to watch Thunder Talk as well as JDG. It went 4 games, but it was Thunder Talk that did fall. Yanni, this is one that it really did feel like you were very much gunning for them, considering their regular season performance.
Yeah, this is not what I'm Thunder talking about, bro.
No, bro.
It's tough. So when they lost at JDG, it immediately made things a lot harder because that essentially made sure that they were going to face BLG. BLG had been a much more consistent team than JDG, mostly because JDG had a couple of roster changes that have been a big reason why they were in flux. Everybody thought that, yeah, BLG is not really playing up to their standard right now. You'd much rather play against the team that is having some issues gelling together. But JDG really snapped it into focus. They are 5 really good players. And they really worked together and came together to beat Thunder Talk. And then once Thunder Talk went up against BLG, I mean, as much as I was pulling for Thunder Talk, I picked BLG to win the series 3-1. And I'm not surprised at the result. I'm just disappointed.
Mm.
Yeah, it felt like JDG played up to the expectations that we had for them going into, the whole thing with the roster change, even as far as Demacia Cup, which I keep bringing up when I talk about JDG, because this was the team that made JDG not make those knockouts. And so that was the big surprise. But again, brand new roster. They kind of felt going into the playoffs like they were, and a lot of people were saying this too, the Pays show. Basically, if Pays performs, then they have a good chance of doing well. If Pays doesn't perform, then they're going to crash and burn. And actually, in a lot of these games and a lot of the games that they won, especially game 3 with Scout on the rise going 7-0, it showed that, Scout was now playing up on par with what we're used to. All as well on Renekton in game 1 had a crazy, it was like full speaking moment. If you know, with the whole speaking thing, Alla was speaking, bro. Like it was crazy. 1 versus 3 around like the first tower. Crazy Renekton game. So JDG also showing more of their depth in this series as well, I think was really good. And, Thunder Talk were able to take a game, but they just couldn't muster up enough to find themselves that win. 3-1 as well. I predicted the 3-2 for Thunder Talk. So I thought it was going to be close. Of course, I didn't have Thunder Talk as this unstoppable force that's going into playoffs, but they definitely did not perform as I thought they would. And, JDG showed up more so than I thought they did. And I think as we go down the line of playoff matches, that's going to be kind of the case with a couple different teams too that really show up for playoffs, and some just don't on the day for a best of 5.
Honestly,
Yo, really, real quick, how could you not mention the Pays Senna?
Yeah, exactly. But that's, you're absolutely right. I mean, playing a champion like Senna, that supportive style champion in setting up Scout and Shun as well on the Viego, all on the Jace,
1-1 in
that back
16.
seat.
1-1 in 16.
Really good.
It's a banger. When you only die once on Senna against a hook champion on the other side in Feather, who was on the Nautilus, one of his better champions. He's known as a hook champion master. I mean, like, when you only die once with a Nautilus on the other side, as the Nautilus, you got to feel really, really bad that you were not able to get at that Senna.
Okay, well, let's not put that on Pays. Let's say what it is. Missing had 9 deaths and 11 assists in there as well. Like, come on, give the support some credit.
But it was actually hilarious because there was a point.
Tank.
There was a point
but
where
like,
it literally was
some
missing
credit
all
here.
Yeah, he's their solo tank. What do you expect?
We're talking about Pays not dying. It's like,
right.
listen, I'll spotlight.
Missing has not been great. Missing has been. The JDG have been winning in spite of missing. Like straight up, they really have been. But he still has time to turn it around. And if they keep throwing him on Ornn, you get a game of Senna Ornn every series. You can mitigate maybe the issues that Missing's been having recently.
That's fair. You know what? I want to say
that being
I
said,
appreciate
though, Pays did pop off in a lot of these games.
He did.
Yeah.
He popped off.
I want to say, Yanni, I'm proud of you for not saying Missing is missing in action, because that was like the best toss-up, and I'm sure.
That's
I know. I was like, man, I'm really, really glad you didn't go for that one. But Of course, we'll get into a little bit more of that because obviously
He's not missing in action, bro. They know exactly where the man is.
He's under the spotlight in the enemy camp.
Fucking dead is where he's at.
He's in the gray zone. We'll dive a little bit more into JDG a little bit later on, and obviously same with Thunder Talk because there was a match that they did play, and we saw an unfortunate end there as well. But let's move on to the next match, which was, of course, Anyone's Legend versus NIP, I believe, and that one was a banger of a series, at least. Anyone's Legends eking out a victory, or some might say just taking the victory.
Yeah, no, it was I'm gonna be honest. I had NIP. I knew this was gonna be a close series. A lot of people knew this was gonna be a close series. I had NIP going over in game 5, 3-2. Didn't end up being the case. But these NIP losses were something we haven't seen from Ninjas in Pajamas yet up to this point. You know, you could argue they had a really easy group with, IG being super inconsistent and not being on form all the time. Then you have RNG and FPX. But like, especially these drafts were just absolutely appalling, I would say. The R5 Lee Sin mid for Doinb, like their game 2 composition is Udyr, Zyra, Lee Sin, Ezreal, and Leona. So, I mean, it's like the Udyr and the Lee Sin, like, I don't understand. These are just so different from what we're used to seeing. And they couldn't get anything done with these weird compositions. It was just so crazy. And they got absolutely smoked in these games as well. So it's like, I don't know what in the world they were going for with these drafts. Game number 4 was Maokai, Jax Jungle, Karma Mid. This is the craziest part. Leave Aphelios with Grasp of the Undying. What? Why are we taking Grasp of the Undying on Aphelios of all champions? And yeah, those were absolute slaughters. And then, of course, game number 5 as well. 11.8K for Anyone's Legend. Only 29 minutes, sub 30-minute win. I mean, it was a 5-game series, but this didn't feel very close. Like, this is one of those series where you could say a 3-0 was closer because you could just have 3 close games, where we only had one game go over 30 minutes in this one.
Yeah, Ferris, real quick. You talk about Doinb picking the Lee Sin mid in that game as the biggest draft gaff. Brother, Tarzan! They let Tarzan have Skarner!
Yeah.
It is literally, Skarner was banned every single game in the regular season. He's been banned, like, I'm pretty sure... almost every single game, or every single game in the playoffs too. Correct me if I'm wrong. Every game in the playoffs.
It had a high ban rate.
Yeah, and then it's been available one time. It was picked and it went 1-0 and 13. What are we doing? Like, are you picking the Lee Sin because you're like, yes, we will kick the Skarner away. That will fix all the problems.
Yeah, no.
No, just ban the thing.
Yeah, bro, I agree. I don't know, man. It was weird. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's actually a good point you make. On top of all that those kind of picks go through, it just felt odd. And I guess, I mean, this really was NIP's like biggest test up to this point in their split. And AL kind of gave it to them there in those games. So, I mean, it was kind of a bad omen going into their next series, but I didn't expect it to go this way, and it really didn't feel that close despite being the whole Game 5 series.
Mm-hmm. Surprisingly enough, Slayer was the only one to predict that correctly. You said 3-2, Anyone's Legends. I don't know if he was saying that this is exactly how it was going to go, but as you stated, Yanni, you were very, very close saying Anyone's Legends. Now, looking into the future for them, is this a good prediction of how they're going to play? Because again, we did mention...
I'm pretty sure I said Anyone Legends beat NIP 3-2.
You did say that before we went live.
Oh, okay,
but I don't know.
Let's go back.
Okay, that was. If you want to go look,
I want to double check this because I wrote down 3-1. We had gotten some
look at the broadcast, if you want to go look at the broadcast, my official prediction on the broadcast was 3-2 Anyone's Legend.
We are going to take a look at what you wrote to me.
No.
You wrote to me. You wrote to me, and listen.
Both teams, Yanni. You can't predict both teams.
Yeah,
bro.
You can't. I'm about to pull up I'm about to pull up the receipt. I'm about to pull up the receipts on this.
Yeah,
on the broadcast.
Official broadcast prediction supersedes anything else.
All right, listen.
I need the VAR here, bro.
You need the PIP. You know what? I'm gonna post this here. You'll see underneath, right over Yanni's face, his big bold message to me, and there may or may not be a black marker behind.
Is there a discrepancy? Did I actually?
There is a discrepancy in there. I double checked.
What did I tell you?
You said 3-1, but
Okay.
Either way, you did predict that they would win. So again, it's understandable. Moving in, is this a good metric to see how they would play? Because as we mentioned, NIP had a couple draft gaffes, like quite obviously in there. Is this a good metric to see how far they will go with the rest of the tournament as well, or the rest of the playoffs at least?
Yeah, I just don't think they're that good. I'm
Hmm.
gonna keep it a stack. I mean, I think they do have some good players. Like, do not get me wrong. I think that they are a very solid team, but you've got Leave and PP God who have been really fantastic. Probably one of the best bot
Yeah.
lanes, if not, definitely in contention for the best bot lane, um, in the LPL. And you have Doinb doing Doinb things. Is not only having this unique champion pool, but also performing fairly well. I just don't know if Aki and Shanji are quite there to be able to stack up against some of these teams where a lot of these teams, their junglers and their top laners are making a really large impact on the game. It feels like the largest impact perhaps on an individual game. I just don't know if they have that ability yet. But this is a team that I think with more reps against these really top end players, it will benefit Shanji and Aki specifically. And that we could see this team do a lot of damage moving forward. But I mean, I don't really have a lot of confidence for them for the rest of the playoffs. And that's even before talking the results
Yeah,
of the
the results of
playoffs.
today.
Yeah.
We do know. We're kind of pretending like we're sitting here in the past.
Oh.
Well,
I feel like,
we'll talk about it when we get there.
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
But we're
Absolutely.
gonna get there shortly. We're gonna
yeah,
get there
but
soon.
speaking on that exactly, from this point, you get kind of worried
Mhm.
Yeah.
about that. I feel like they just didn't play a lot to their strengths. I mean, there was a lot of Pantheon bans. I think Pantheon would be a great pick for Doinb, but AL was kind of shutting that down. Just roaming picks in general for him. That was kind of like part of the whole meta that was something that was part of the mid lane meta. The Rise is like almost I'm pretty sure the Rise is still undefeated in the LPL, but Doinb got the win on that. But yeah, playing these things like Lee Sin mid, like the Karma mid. I mean, his Akali's not bad either, but it didn't feel like NIP, what was successful for them in regular season, they just didn't get that here in the playoffs. And yeah, I mean, like Shanji on Maokai, like I've never really seen Shanji as a Maokai player. Like they got the win when he's on Ambessa. He likes those like real carry-ish champions, like the Rumbles and the Ambessas, even the Casantes, like just stuff where Shanji can go crazy and like kind of be that carry top. That's what he likes to do. And I mean, he got the Olaf in game 5, but I mean, game 5 was insane. Like PB God stole 3 kills on the Alistair, and one of them was a 1K bounty that they were so desperately in need to get to come back. I literally had a heart attack when I saw it. It was crazy. Bro just like auto attacked. The kill was guaranteed 1,000 gold. Forget who it was onto. I think it was onto Shanks on the Yone, but oh my god. A comedy of errors in a couple of those games, bro.
Pain, and that's what playoffs will do. At least playoffs does make teams have to juggle a little bit more. We see sometimes unconventional mistakes. At the same time, we see players do step up into the ranks, at least those that are aiming and gunning for the very, very top, which of course we will be getting to a little bit later. Next matchup that we are going to be talking about is BLG versus Weibo Gaming, and this one I think went about just as expected for a lot of our predictions. Granted, some gave a little bit more leniency over to WBG, but quite honestly, everyone here on the desk, myself excluded, Ferris, Slayer, and Yanni, all of you guys all said that BLG were going to take the victory.
Yeah, not too surprising. Weibo's been a little strange this season so far. They have looked really out of sorts. I think they had a really weak initial split because JDG looked so, what's the word? JDG had not really come together yet. And they were still able to beat Weibo. And Weibo, I the can't remember who they dropped an individual game to, either OMG or Ultra Prime. They had a surprisingly close series against one of those teams. I cannot exactly remember off the top of my head. Hold on, let me see if I can actually figure out. They dropped the game to Ultra Prime. It's like you can't drop a game to Ultra Prime, and even then, JDG They beat OMG 3-2 at one point, right? So it's like, okay, you would
Yeah.
expect Weibo to be a little bit stronger. And then when they played against each other, I mean that one was that one was close, but again, we were thinking that JDG was a weaker team than BLG, which is why I'm not too surprised that this series went the way it did.
This BLG team, I mean, they had a good regular season outside of the loss to Thunder Talk, but even then, they almost like reverse swept them and stuff. So it was very close for them being a first seed. But I mean, the biggest outlier for me this series for Weibo was Xiaohu. I mean, Xiaohu just got nothing, did nothing this series, really. Outside of game 4, that honestly Weibo should have won. A lot of people thought we were going 5, but Bin started to wake up finally, and Bin as well, I also thought has had a quiet playoff so far. Finally on Camille just gets to that level 18 point and just kind of starts to 1v9. But I mean, Xiaohu on Corki game 1 had no kills. On Victor in game 3 had no kills. His Rise, if I check it in game number 2, I mean, he had a couple assists, 1 and 1. But I mean, yeah, I mean, Knight was kind of just Xiaohu's father in this series, which really hurt. And I mean, Wei and On were playing well, better than they were. A lot of the criticisms about BLG was, Wei and On together, kind of performing poorly. I think they did a great job in game 1. Game 2 was kind of the outlier for BLG. They really got nothing done in that sort of poke-esque comp. They had they were trying to get picks, Nidalee for poke. That game was very much, 24-minute Weibo win. But other than that, yeah, it was like, it felt like BLG just kind of had them. And I really felt that the presence of Xiaohu was missing in this series and part of the real reasons why Weibo struggled.
And one thing I want to talk about is you knew this series was going to be bad for Weibo after game 1 because Corki into Yone is like pretty solid for Corki. Generally a pretty good time. Xiao, didn't really have a lead, couldn't do anything. And you pick the Galio into the Rumble, and your Galio goes 1-6-1.
Yeah.
Something went. Your Galio against 4 melee champions went 1-6-1. Something has gone horrifically poorly.
Yeah, it got demolished. It got demolished by swaps. Like the lane swaps made Breathe unable to lane against Ben at all. But still,
you can play into a swap, especially when the swap is an Ezreal. Like it's not like you're, it's not like you're not able to outplay dives either. Like sure, you're gonna be behind. Like we all know that you're gonna be behind on a lane swap, but like you're still going to be tanky enough and able to make some of these plays and able to make it hard for these 4 melees to play into you.
Yeah, Light was an elo hell. I did have that written down. Light was an absolute elo hell.
Yeah, poor guy.
In game 1. Light has been the most consistent player for Weibo. I think that's, maybe my memory is foggy, but I think that's safe to say for his tenure on Weibo. He has been just a genuinely solid player for them the entire time. And yeah, game number 1 had no help. And oh my God, I can't believe, again, it was the whole Bin 1v9 show at the last little bit, but Weibo should have won game 4 as well. It should have gone 5. Maybe they would have clutched up, but I mean, and going back to BLG, this is the point I wanted to make about game 4. I'm really worried about Wei, and less so On, more so Wei. This Pantheon game was abysmal. He got nothing done. He was down like 20 CS to the Zac, and it genuinely looked like BLG was going to lose this game because Wei was just such a dead weight. It was really, really bad. And then Bin kind of bailed them out. So going forward, we'll talk about their series later on that they had this morning, but I don't know. That to me, that's the shaky part of BLG, and the reason why I don't have them as highly as I would like last summer. Obviously with how good that team was, it feels like that could be the scary part for them.
I think that's a real. It's scary to think that this is where the playoffs is currently landing us, where a lot of these teams we are starting to see the cracks fall through. We're starting to see a lot of these players. The light, the critiquing light this time, not exactly the spotlight, but the light that shines down on the weakest links of the teams will continue to shine brighter, whether these players do continue to move on in the bracket or not. As you mentioned, we will talk about them a little bit later. So let's go ahead and continue on because there is one more match in the round 1. Yes,
Real
Yanni.
quick. Question for the floor, but mostly for Ferris. Do you think BLG made the right move moving on from Shun?
Oh.
Given the fact that, I was going to say the same thing.
Bop.
I was gonna say the same thing. Like,
No, I don't.
I mean,
I don't
I
think
think
Wei is
Shun
good,
has
bro.
looked much better.
I think I said this when I was watching the games today, which I mean, kind of a spoiler, but compared to Shun, I think Wei sucks. Like, I don't think this guy is nearly as good as Shun at all.
Okay, I mean, like, I wouldn't say sucks compared to him, but like, I certainly don't. I certainly think it's a downgrade.
Yeah, we can agree on that, 100%.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd go that far because the teams are still, obviously, even
Yeah.
though
Okay.
BLG
Okay.
is in
Maybe
is in
that's
the
a little bit
single,
harsh.
yeah, even though like BLG is in the single elim bracket right now, then JDG is in the upper elim bracket. Obviously, the regular season had a lot to do with that. I would say that he's definitely a downgrade, but I wouldn't quite say their seasons have been particularly different, especially getting into the playoffs.
All right. Well, with that shot fired and very much echoed in the cannon fire, we are going to talk about Top Esports versus IG, where this is the only one I believe that every single one of us got wrong. I think everyone had eyes on where this was going to go, and TES showed something phenomenal, in my opinion. Whether at the same time IG were a little bit staggered, but I think everyone had IG winning either in 3-2 or 3-1 fashion. And
Bro, what predictions did I give you?
you gave me some weird stuff, I'm pretty sure.
Dude, what predictions did I give you? Because
you gave me
where
some chaotic stuff.
I was wrong. I know I was wrong. I was
No.
IG
I will
supporter.
be posting this yet again. I will show the message that Yanni sent me.
it's where did I send? Did I DM this to you?
No, it was in
I think you
our.
sent it to the chat.
I'm pinging you right now, bro. Hold on.
Where?
Hold on
where
here.
is
I'll
it?
actually.
Because I'm
It is Sarah because this is. There we go.
Okay. Thank
There
you.
we go.
Oh wait, I just marked it as red. Hold on.
Yeah.
Okay.
They were off on the side, and granted, this leading up to the
No.
matchup.
I picked. Wait. Oh. I see where I messed up. Oh. I see where I messed up here.
What? When
What
we
happened?
forget what we
got
said.
that
So I did the less than and equal to thing.
Oh, the wrong
And for
one.
IGTS, I just put it the wrong way. My bad.
There
Again,
are some moments where Caster Brain
me too.
shows.
Oh, me
Well,
too.
Yeah,
Oh my
yeah.
God.
Well, I
silly
just
me.
encourage you to look at the LPL English broadcast and look at the predictions there.
Yes. Make sure to do that. Just as Riot Games also gives a lot of love over there to that broadcast.
Because if you want to see Yanni's true and correct predictions, they're over there.
I'll go pull the clip and very quickly.
And I promise, I'm not like double dipping. Listen, I had an interesting weekend, all right? I had a very interesting.
This was sent before the weekend, bro.
Yeah, I know. But I had
Things
some
aren't lining
clarity.
up here, Yanni. What's going on, man?
I had some clarity over the weekend when my predictions were given.
Oh, okay.
So,
Okay.
So let's dive into this then, because if that's correct, then you would be the only one, I believe, of the analysts here. So when you gave us that prediction of IG versus Top Esports, was that correct, or was that a genuine mistake that you gave back? I believe for us here on the Aftermath, it would have been our
so
Friday.
for there, I had when I gave it to you, I said 3-1 IG.
Yes.
But then when I put on the broadcast, I said 3-1 TS.
Okay.
So that's why I'm like, oh, this is very clearly I just accidentally reversed the fucking less than equal to sign, because when I gave my prediction to Kelsey, I didn't do that. I just put team name. I just put team name 3-1.
Shout out to Kelsey, by the way.
Shout out Kelsey Moser. So I think for future predictions, I'm just gonna put team name instead of this less than an equal to.
Yeah, that way you can't. Yeah, you can't get that mixed up next time.
No.
Yeah,
Well,
you can't.
Listen,
you can't.
Listen. Math and I don't have the greatest relationship.
Neither does English, apparently.
No. English and I have a phenomenal relationship.
Ah, yes.
All right. Math and I had a good relationship up until 8th grade.
Ah.
And then we had a poor relationship.
Oh, what? When they started adding letters into math, is that it?
No.
That was it for me. I'm not gonna lie.
So what happened was, my 8th grade year, my teacher was like, "Yeah, as long as you just like rewrite the problem, I'll give you like at least a C." And I was like,
We are lazy out
Sold.
here. We are lazy out
I was
here.
like, sold. And
So,
like half the time I couldn't even be arsed to do that.
all right, so let's dive into this a little bit more before we go off into the tangent of why
The Yanni
Yanni
lore.
doesn't know the less
No,
than
this is bad
equals
lore.
to or
This is
more than
bullshit.
symbols.
I mean, I do.
Let's
I just did it
all right.
wrong on that one.
Listen. We're gonna talk about this. So, what had you giving top esports such high praise? Considering, again, we'll get to Ferris as well. Ferris and Slayer both had IG winning this out here.
Yeah, I think what's really been strange about IG is that their ability to play a clean series has been like not great. They've had a lot of really close games with teams that they realistically should not have had close games against. I told you guys earlier, and I'll stand by it. I don't think NIP is that great. And I mean, IG lost to them. And like, IG lost to them pretty bad.
Yeah.
And like, I want to say this before my head gets cut off. When I say I don't think NIP is that great, I'm not saying I think they're a bad team. I'm not
Sure.
saying I don't think they're a playoff team. I'm not even saying that they're a team that I'd be disappointed if LPL sent them to Worlds or something, later this year or something like that. I just don't think they're like a top 4 team right now. I think that if you want to be a top 4 team, they're one of the teams you got to get by. And IG, it feels like they're having the problem that JDG had, but they haven't been able to put it together yet. They are players that are really phenomenal and great name value and things like that. And they just haven't quite been able to link up. I mean, Mako and JJ, just they did such a good job in the past of making plays together, and it just really hasn't happened this season.
It's it's tough because I was kind of riding the hype still of IG, just the star power they had. I thought maybe they'd get it together a little bit better than they had. They were coming off of 2 wins. The loss, the NIP was their first regular season game, so it was like, okay, they got 2 wins. Test lost to AL, and AL pretty kind of handily won that matchup too. So I was like,
Yeah.
I don't know about top esports. Like they do have kind of that history of choking. When you think about Worlds last year, I mean, it's a different team. Kanavi's in now for TN, but I don't know. I was just like, I kind of have this feeling that IG is just going to clutch up. They got some good players. This is going to happen. It kind of was like, I mean, the games were close. It was the 2 40-minute games, and both of those 40-minute games were IG losses. But the drafting was really all over the place. I think the Shy played really, really poorly. He was a little bit better on Mbessa. Mbessa's been one of his better champs in Split 1 in 2025. But the Aurora game was horrible. I never want to see that again. The Orin and the Maokai wasn't able. He was just behind. He wasn't very useful. The Shy felt out of place, and that's like high key. Aside from maybe like their big miracle run at Worlds with Weibo, his big miracle run with Worlds and Weibo, like the Shy has kind of felt that way. Like ever since he had that really breakout season, and he had season 8 Worlds, he had season 9. He was like the best top laner in the world in season 9. Ever since then, he's just kind of been like floating in this. Is he good? Yeah. Is he has one good performance? Is the Shy back? Is he not back? He was not here in this series, and honestly, neither was Rookie either. It felt kind of like the Gala JJ, 2v8 show, and
Yeah.
also they're drafting. I mean, you just look at the game 1 draft: Aurora, Viego, Silas, has real karma versus a very sound top esports composition. Rumble, Sedge, Yone, you got the synergy there with the melees, and then you got Ashrel for like supplementary engage. Like that's a sound composition. IG is like, we're playing solo queue.
Yeah. And you're going to have a hard time trying to get resets on, a Sejuani, a Yone that can slip in and out of a fight. Rel, obviously, a little tanky. A Rumble that's going to build Zonias. Like, you're going to have a hard time finding these resets. And, I think one of the really troublesome things is, when I was talking about how IG feels like JDG and they haven't, congealed together or anything like that. It's like they were having some issue. Like they dropped the game to RNG. Now RNG, like when you take a look at like some of the bottom teams in some of these groups, some of the bottom teams in these groups are truly bad. I think that Group D had the 2 best teams in 3rd and 4th in RNG and FPX. That if you put them in like groups with these other 2 teams that went down, that they would be 1st and 2nd without a doubt. And maybe LGD. Actually, I should give them some respect. They actually looked pretty good. But when IG, drops a game to RNG, struggles in a game versus FPX, where FPX was like, hey, we have to 3-0 this series in order to get into playoffs. So that game one was important. And it was a 40-minute game where, FPX had leads. You can't tell me that IG is going to go put it together. Like, all right, now you have to actually come in and put it together against 369, Kanavi, Cream, Jackie Love, and Crisp. It's a tough task to tell a team, all right, you've had a shaky year. Now you got to play your cleanest games of League of Legends against actual good teams. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, they look like individuals playing. And their
Yes.
game 3 win was exactly that. I mean, the numbers, Gala was 13-0-10 on his Kaisa. Rookie was 8-0 on Ari. It's just like they kind of had those click moments where they got super fed. Now they can just kind of just play it like a solo queue game. It's like impossible to lose from that state. They run away with it. But I mean, game one, I already talked about. Game two, JJ just had to put the team on his back. You saw the Elder Steel. This guy's Lilio was absolutely insane. I also don't know why Gala built, attack speed Varus into a Jin, into a Nidalee, into a Jace, into a Hui. And in all poke composition, he goes attack speed. I feel like I have this very strong feeling if Gala went Comet Varus, like lethality Varus, there were times where, it could have pushed IG over the goal line, where they could have won this game and actually knotted it up 1-1. But that didn't happen. I think Cream is getting back to, and again, there's another test series, but Cream is getting back to that OMG Cream level. Like Cream has kind of not been able to hit that stride again. He's really ramping up. He's kind of him in these playoff series. Jackie Love had a couple good series as well, but yeah, Test kind of clicked, and IG they just collapsed, bro. It's pretty depressing, but I think this is something that, I mean, some people said Top Esports were going to 3-0. I thought that was a bit crazy, but to predict Top Esports to beat IG, like that's totally valid. Totally valid.
That's fair.
Yeah, and this is going to be another team that it's like, wait for second split, wait for third split, give them a little bit more time.
I think that goes for a lot of teams that we've seen so far in the playoff side, as well as in the regular season. I mean, Ferris, you've mentioned quite a few times throughout the regular season where we're just like, they need more time. But again, with the current split situation, with the stage setup, you only get a certain amount, and you need to show up in some of those earlier rounds if you want to, maybe continue on. But as you said, we'll see how they perform. We did have 2 matches earlier on, which we did not originally get predictions, but they have completed, and now we get to dive into it yet a little bit further. Starting off with BLG and Thunder Talk. This one I think hurt the soul for a lot of the people that did hope that Thunder Talk will continue forward. Not just Yanni, but many others out there. As again, it wasn't a 3-2, but BLG took it 3-1, moving on in the lower bracket.
It was a 3-1. So, Thunder Talk, they take a game, and it was the first game of the series too. After that first game, I'm like, dude, Thunder Talk's just going to do it again. Yep. And the exact same criticisms I had of them in their previous series against Weibo, Wei was kind of really struggling. I didn't feel Ben was super on unless it was game 4. Ben felt off in this game. Like he had like almost no kills, or maybe just 1 kill on the Jace, wasn't doing a whole lot. Their composition was a little odd. The Nocturne angle with the Aurora and the Jace, he didn't feel like the Nocturne could do anything. Wei was really struggling. Hoya and Beishuan were running the game on this Vi Ambessa. They were going absolutely crazy. Tabs Akali looked nuts. This looked like we were gonna get that, Thunder Talk stompage again. And then game 2 hit. I don't know what the coach told BLG. it was like a Spawn pep talk on steroids. Dude, those games were complete utter annihilation.
No, bro.
I don't know what happened.
This was Coma getting the belt, bro.
Yeah.
This was
for real.
They belt to ass, and that's exactly what happened. BLG did to Thunder Talk belt to ass in that second game. That is
no kills.
I mean, I think the craziest thing is the fact that game lasted 27 minutes.
I know. Yeah, it's crazy.
I think there were some funny moments as well in statements with that on the socials. One of them was like, what the hell did Thunder Talk decide to give in the waters, or something? Like someone walked over and gave water over to BLG, and it was just like
Mhm.
because they gave
You
him
ever seen
something.
Space Jam?
I have not, and someone's gonna yell at me for that.
Oh my
I know
god,
what
that's
you're gonna
crazy.
say.
Yeah, 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 Michael's secret stuff. That's exactly what
Yeah.
they gave BLG,
uh,
and they just oh
for reference,
goodness.
for those that may not have watched the series, the reason that we're saying this, it's 34 minutes for game one. After that, there was not a single.
34 minutes for game one that TT
Yes,
won, by the way.
yes, there was not a single game afterwards that went over 31 minutes. It was 27 minutes, 28 and a half, and then 30,
Now,
54
now,
for
best way to put it,
BLG.
this series went 4 games. Thunder Talk got 27 kills in the first game. They got 16 total over the next 3.
Yes. And one of the big proponents for that was Knight. Once again, stepping up in the series, I believe 34, 9, and 33. Overall, crazy stats. If you kind of look outside of that game one, I mean, this is a squad that's sitting here going, yeah, we are going to keep moving on in our bracket, which I'm very excited to see what they can do in the future. Because there is another match that they're going to have to go up against, obviously. But let's continue moving on then, because that one is just, it's Thunder Talk.
Not a whole lot to talk about.
No, there isn't. The next one, though,
Oh, wait, hold on.
has
No, we got to talk about Satab, my GOAT, 0-7-0 in the last game.
But this is the thing we have to talk about. Actually, now that I'm looking back at this, did you guys see the level 1 of game 4?
I did not. How bad?
Okay.
What happened?
Okay. Yeah. So there's a reason. There's a reason Satab is 0-7-0.
Did
It
Knight get
was
like a triple kill at like level 1?
yes. Beishuan and the rest of company of Thunder Talk, they go and they invade the blue buff. It is BLG on red side,
Mhm.
and Thunder Talk invade the blue buff. Beishuan actually gets the smite. He's level 2. The fight breaks out. No one on BLG dies, and Knight gets a triple kill and starts the lane 3-0.
Yeah,
That's
I
what
figured if
happened.
there was any, I was like, okay, if Satab goes 0-7, and I've played a lot of Lucian, and I've played a lot of Lucian mid. The only way that this goes that badly is once you said the invade, I'm like, Knight had to have gotten at least 2 or 3 kills.
Yeah. It was over. It was literally over at 2.5 minutes. That
Yeah,
was this
I
game.
really wanted to watch this series, but I was, like I said, I was really sick, so I was still trying to sleep over here,
Yeah.
right in the corner over here.
I
And,
know we had to pull the picture
it's
from this
been
morning
bad. It's
again.
been bad.
Building up the
No,
strength
no,
to
no.
make this appearance.
No, you wouldn't have been able to look at the picture from this morning,
Oh,
bro. I mean, like I was drenched in sweat, bro.
Oh.
It's that bad. It's that bad.
It's a corpse.
You know who else was drenched in
I kind
sweat?
of wish I was a corpse.
Oh god. You know who else
Who?
was drenched in a little bit of sweat after the beginning of the series? It was once again. I think top for a little bit, because the next matchup we had was NIP versus Top Esports. NIP basically did their best cosplay of Thunder Talk, won the first
Yeah.
game, 34 and a half minutes, but it was closer in the following games as well. 44-56, and then a 26-17. We don't talk about that one, and then a 30-50. So respectable, but Top Esports once again coming out, shelling out like a team that we expected to.
NIP's game 1. I mean, this is a statement game for Leave. This guy is crazy good. 11-1. And it's like, yeah, there's games where 80 carries go like 11-1. You know, you had Elk in the last series with 13-0 on the Jin. But this guy was ulting backline and straight up 1v3. It's the classic Kaisa, like super Gala
LPL
montage
Kaisa.
play. LPL Kaisa. That like Leave is crazy good.
Leave is him.
Leave is
Turner.
him. And game 2 as well. You know, this is a game that Ninjas and Pajamas lose, but Leave on Jin 8-1-8. He's got 6 items. He sold his boots. He was literally doing the most. Like the whole team, one person on his shoulders, and another person up the mountain, bro. The whole guy pushing the boulder up the mountain. Leave was 1v9 and
By the
lost.
way, it's a Jin into Leona, Varus, Ari, Wukong, and Rumble. That's kind of hard to play into.
Yeah, it was the Leave show, absolutely, in this game. And like, you know, it was really good. Ninjas and Pajamas sort of synergy in game number 1. They were getting clean engages, they were wiping fights. They kind of draft similar in game 2, but they just don't look as clean. Test kind of over punishes for them. Then they put Leave on the Senna. The Scion pick was not it. It just avalanche downhill.
No. I mean, you know, it's so difficult because I mean, you're putting your star player on, you're putting your star bot lane on Senna Scion for the incredible late game scaling, right? But you can't play this incredible late game scaling without any like early without an ability to play early lane swaps well. That's why we're seeing Zeri and that's why we're seeing Jinx still work so well, because if they lane swap or if they 2v2 straight up, it's fine. You know, a straight up 2v2, you're fine in. And if you want to lane swap, you can take advantage of that. It's totally fine. I feel like as Senna Scion, you can't really take advantage of these lane swaps as well as you'd like. And if you're in the straight up 2v2, you're giving up too much pressure. And you know, you're not allowing Leave to be that big carry. And it just can put you so far behind. And in this scenario, I mean, Top's got Gnar, so you can't lane swap into him really. And then you're going up against Ezreal Karma. Like, you're just going to get your shit kicked in.
Yeah, JackeyLove and Kanavi in this game were psychos. Like JackeyLove was just frontline Ezreal. It was really funny. Like
why not? He's under no threat this game.
Yeah, JackeyLove is kind of that psychopath player. He came up as the Draven one trick, and you know, he has just kind of that extra gear where he can be like really play on the edge and really make things happen. That was JackeyLove full on this game. And Kanavi as well had a fantastic game on top of that. They just ran it over. Anything that NIP tried to do, like Test just completely absorbed it and just ran them over with it. And also talking about game number 4, to add all this on top of it, it was another pretty good stomp for Top Esports. Look at this Jax jungle angle for Kanavi when you look at the
Beautiful.
NIP team. That is the best Jax jungle angle. Into Xin into Yasuo, and then Leave is on the Zeri as well. Oh my gosh. And Kanavi was so big in those fights. They were on point with the drafting, and they really, all right, Cream as well played really well. They really shut down NIP.
25% damage threshold, by the way, on that one. So yeah, definitely Kanavi saying, hey, let's go ahead, close this one out. They go ahead and move on, and they should be pretty proud of that. But that now brings us to our next set of predictions. Obviously, Slayer's not here. He posted his thoughts online. He made a whole bracket. Unfortunately, his bracket fell apart by round 2, so we won't be asking his thoughts. That unfortunate there, but granted, as Ferris pointed out earlier, a lot of these series didn't go the way that I think a lot of people were hoping for, at least in some of those larger matchups. So we're taking a look now at Anyone's Legend versus JDG in the winners side finals for each spot at the stage 1 playoffs grand finals. There, I can talk. Where do we think this one lands as we're entering into the next predictions? Where do we think this lands?
All right, so I gotta take JDG 3-1. And
can I get that in writing as well, please?
Yeah, don't worry.
Yeah, sign a contract along with it.
I'm sure these will be my official predictions on the broadcast.
Okay,
you can put a little asterisk next to the one that I'm giving you if you.
Oh God.
Official prediction subject to change. No. I mean, I think that while I was really excited for Thunder Talk, I think Thunder Talk and Anyone's Legend are kind of on the same tier right now. They haven't really. Anyone's Legend, Thunder Talk didn't get really the opportunity to show that they were on the same tier as a BLG, a JDG, and teams like that in the top esports. And that's just because they were into JDG first round, they ran into Thunder Talk next round. As I've mentioned before, kind of low on NIP. 3-2 NIP, that's great. Like, you're definitely showing that you can be a top 4 team, right? Guess what? You're in the top 4. 3-2 NIP does not show that you are better than a top 4 team. This does not show that you are a top 2 team. This does not show that you are a first stand team. This does not show that you are a number 1, number 2 seed to come out of the LPL. I think that JDG, against Thunder Talk was their test to say, hey, we've come together. We have gelled. Everything is good. We're going to start hitting the ground running again. That's what they did against Thunder Talk. It's not a surprise that they dropped the game, mostly because when you get to this level with how good these teams are, it's no surprise that a top team would drop a game to, a 6th best team in playoffs, given the fact how strong I think the LPL is right now. So I think JDG is going to win this one 3-1 and knock Anyone's Legends down to the lower bracket.
Yeah, I agree. That's what I'm going to go with as well as JDG 3-1 over AL. The wins that AL had over NIP, I'm just going to quickly shift gears and go back to that series really quickly. When we talked about the drafts and what the hell was NIP doing in those games? Like, they didn't feel like AL was like going through the trenches the whole games, where NIP is in full form, giving them everything they have, and AL is outplaying them. They are playing in these 45-minute games, and they're showing that they can go to that full distance, that whole LPL best of 5 way. They just haven't, like Yanni said, they haven't shown enough for me to really put them over JDG. And also, 2 words, bot gap. Bot gap. Pays is going to run Hope. And if Missing is on as well, then I think the whole bot lane is going to be a huge boon for JDG, just because of how good Pays has been. And I think he's a lot better than Hope. So on top of that, I think the bot gap is going to be very prevalent. I think 3-1 JDG.
I actually think I am kind of surprised about that. I do think that Pays has been fantastic. I do think Pays has been better than Hope. I think that there is a sizable difference between Pays and Hope. However, support-wise, Kale has been Kyle, sorry, not Kale, like the salad or whatever. Has been really, really good. And honestly, one of the best supports in the LPL to start the year. And Missing has not. Missing has been very poor. He's been about as good as me in solo queue. So
you're performing pretty well when we're doing.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's because you're really good, Okay. Anyway, so I don't think we're gonna see a huge bot gap, but I do think JDG is going to have an advantage there, and they can exploit that to their advantage.
Yeah.
If Missing shows up and is the Missing that we all expect him to be, then all right, we're talking like, yes, this is a clear advantage down here. This is where JDG can really ride their victories.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree.
Definitely leaning into the JDG basket for very good reason as well. Anyone's legend has to prove that they are a legend on the paper to be able to prove to everyone that they still deserve to be here, which I think just about anyone can get behind. I'm sure they're looking forward, though. Listen, when you have a series like that against NIP, as a lot of people are rightfully critiquing, I'm sure they're going to come out with something. At least we hope so in that best of 5. That's on the winner side, though. In the lower bracket, with one last chance, it is going to be Top Esports versus BLG. Ooh. And this one might be a little bit more interesting. I mean, both had pretty smashing success in the opening lower bracket rounds to get here. But I mean, what do we think? We'll start with Ferris.
So if you had have shown me this best of 5 at the start of playoffs, let's say there was a world where at the start of playoffs was BLG Tess, without seeing Tess's performance against IG and NIP, I'm inclined to go BLG like 3-0. Like I wasn't high on Tess. Now, whether I was right in that assessment or wrong, I mean, I guess I was wrong, but I'm impressed with Top Esports and how they played. I think Bin's a great player, but it's been weird this playoffs. I really think, someone who is so consistent for BLG, always super, super good, he has not been as good. And maybe I'm faded for this take. I don't know. Someone can call me out, but I really feel like Bin has been struggling. And if he does that against 369, who's really on point, that's going to be a big problem for BLG. I also think if Wei is underperforming like he has, like Kanavi's going to absolutely run him. Although, that being said, all of those factors considered that I just talked about, I think could muster Tess 2 wins. I'm still going to go BLG. I'm going to go BLG 3-2. I think it's going to be a close series. I honestly could see a world where Tess wins 3-2, but I'm just going to take my side of the coin. I'm going to say BLG 3-2. I think Bin and Wei will show up. They've had a lot of reps. They did look a lot better against Thundertalk. And the rest of I think Knight has been absolutely fantastic. Cream has been pretty good too, but it's Knight, bro. It's the golden left hand. How can you doubt the guy that's lost one best of 3 in the last 3 years in the LPL? So I'm going BLG 3-2.
Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing if you weren't gonna say, because like Knight is just, that guy is something else. Him. And Cream is solid, pretty good. Not Knight. He's not Knight. No. I am gonna go BLG 3-1. And I think the biggest reason why is you just take a look at the quality of teams that these 2 teams have played against. TS has gotten wins against IG and has gotten wins against NIP. Now, obviously, we know IG and NIP are very flawed teams that, they don't have necessarily the results prior to back things up to be like, okay, well, this team is just pretty good. They just had an off tournament or something like that. You don't have any of those sorts of results, right? And We saw NIP get knocked down by anyone's legend, and we don't really know what anyone's legend is because they've only played one series. BLG, on the other hand, you could say the worst quality team they beat is Thunder Talk, but Thunder Talk took a game off of them and took a game off of JDG. They took a game off top 4 teams, and then they played against Weibo in the first round, who we all know, like Weibo from top to bottom, is a really strong team. So if you want to talk about the fact that Thunder Talk took a game off them, and that they took a game off JDG, who was, presumably, as we think, going to beat AL and go into the finals, then you could talk about Thunder Talk as a really high quality team. And I just don't think that NIP and IG are the same quality of Weibo and Thunder Talk. I think BLG has beaten better teams. I think they've been, more battle tested as a unit. And I'm not going to be surprised when this is a 3-1.
All right, leaning very heavily in the BLG side, which I think just about everyone can get behind here. Now, granted, I'm sitting here. I'm a little bit interested to see if we get more upsets. I mean, Top has already shown that they can kind of have a bit of fun there as well. BLG, Top, everyone is going to be in for a ride, I think, for
What are
either.
your thoughts?
My thoughts are it's going to be a banger of a match. Personally,
Who's winning?
Do I have to say it? Do I have to say it? Listen, I'm here in the hostess. I don't need. Okay, all right.
And
you can at least you heard our predictions first, so you can at least.
Right. I get to
cheat.
cheat.
You also crash and burn.
I get to cheat. That's what I get to do. I get to take what you guys say and bring it on into me. I'm gonna go. You know what? Oh boy, someone's gonna yell at me for this. I'm sure. I still like Top a little bit more. I love what they have, and again, when it comes to it, I think Top have already shown that they can overcome some bet against them in the earlier stages of the playoffs, and I think it's still going to be extremely close. Obviously, if it comes out to it, I would say it comes down to quite literally one game, and I would give it either a game. I wouldn't even see game 5. I would love to see a game 3 or game 4 be that kind of banger of a match where everything's kind of on the line. So I'll lean into Top this time around, and I'll say they they're gonna have some fun in there. 3-2 them. So we'll see how it goes. Of course, those are our predictions for the next upcoming matches. And Yanni, are you gonna be on either of those? I'm kind of curious.
No, I'm not going to be on for any of these playoff games, as far as I know. Just very sad. That is okay. I should be back for Split 2. Fingers crossed.
There we go.
99% sure I'll be back, but I don't know. We'll see.
Well, listen. What we do know is you're going to be here for the rest of the aftermath, which is a good thing. And
I hope so.
Yeah. And since we can do that, because I believe what you have planned is a bigger aftermath to go ahead and cap out the end of the tournament. Plus,
the badder aftermath.
Well, pretty much. I mean, at some point, a nuke is going to go off here, and we're going to watch the entire LPL go crazy with the big shows and everything, and then we here are just going to go, well, we got to cover it all.
They're dropping nukes?
No. But I think the matches are going to be absolutely bangers because there is one more for us on Thursday in the morning, of course, which will be, I believe, the lower bracket finals. So I want to get both of your guys' thoughts on who is going to take that one as well, because I believe we have both predicted. We said JDG and BLG will be winning their series, which would mean I think we're looking at BLG versus anyone's legend, if I am following this correctly. Am I correct?
Yeah. If that would be correct.
If I'm correct there, I want to get your thoughts on if that occurs, what do you think the scoreline will be there?
I think BLG would beat AL 3-1.
Just because
I'm inclined to agree. I think BLG
based off our predictions, obviously. Now, like let's say JDG and AL play a really close 5-game banger series or something like that, and BLG and TS do the same. Then all of a sudden I'm like, all right, anyone's legend. It could be 3-2 either way at that point, But judging by what we think, I would say that BLG would probably beat anyone's legend 3 games. The one we'd see a JDG BLG final. I don't know who would win that one.
It is a little bit further out.
Give me a 3-2 at that point.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, that's definitely the final I want is BLG JDG.
That's not my real final. You know what I really want, and I'm so sad that we're robbed of? Thunder Talk and anyone's legend. These are the 2 teams.
Well, we knew that's what you wanted.
Big surprises. Well, no. I just want to see them play each other. These are the two teams
Oh.
that have been the big surprises of Split 1
Yeah.
that have been pretty good. Thunder Talk, unfortunately, was cut short by the two teams that we expect to go into the finals. They had the hardest run. They got super punished for finishing first in their group. It's crazy. They got punished so hard for that. And
Listen,
like, it really sucks that we're not going to see them be able to play anyone's legend, because I want to know how that series is going to go. Like, that series seems like an absolute turbo banger. That's the only matchup I'm really upset at seeing, not being able to see, I should say. That's my real finals.
Yeah, and especially these iteration of the teams, because they might be different down the line too. Like, who knows? Maybe one team, maybe Thunder Talk just falls off a cliff, or
I hope
maybe
not.
AL falls off
I
a
am worried
cliff.
about that. I'm worried about that.
Yeah, so you would want to see them fight in this, in their forms right now. But I mean,
Especially
down the line we'll
because,
see it maybe.
especially because, I'm sure we all are very tuned in on Twitter. I see Ferris tweeting a lot. Orbital usually only tweets about his casts.
I don't do
But
socials.
He is
I'm very
Orbital
there are
cast.
there
Yeah.
are there are the big lane swap changes that are coming that are
Oh
going to
yeah.
essentially prevent the really early lane swaps, and I think that these two
Yeah.
teams were play those very reasonably well, to the level of some top teams. And obviously, when big changes come in, it's sometimes hard to adjust, or your players are just not as good at what the next iteration of the meta becomes.
Yep.
And that's where you can see a lot of shifts start to come in. That's going to be the next big shift for a lot of these top teams. And it's where, we could potentially see some of these lower end teams fall out, or some of these top end teams that we think are like, hey, this is a top 4, top 5, top 6 team, maybe get shaken to like the bottom of the playoff teams.
Well, let's actually dive into that a little bit more, because it will lead into when we follow up into further on in stage, further
Holy
on in
crap.
stages and the rest.
Sorry,
Oh.
I'm just looking through Twitter, and Caps just locked in Anivia mid lane, the first Anivia in LEC history.
Really?
What?
Yes,
I feel like he's played that before.
No, he's the first Anivia mid in LEC history. The last Anivia was played back when they were EULCS in
There you
2018
go. Okay.
by Blanc.
Yeah, I remember the days of Froggen. That's where I
Oh
was
yeah,
looking at. Yeah,
Froggen's
so
Anivia.
everyone.
Hagen is the
But
Anivia
in
guy.
the history of the
Locked in all the
LEC,
time.
that
Yes,
is
in the LEC.
Which, granted, I do like Anivia. I think right now, great burn tactics and everything like that. Still crazy that you're pulling it out here.
Dude, I hate that champ.
I love it. You see
Bro,
me play that
LCK's
champ.
playing it in top lane, dude. LCK's
Yeah,
playing
I
it in
know.
top lane.
Yeah,
That's
no,
insane.
fire that champion into the goddamn sun. Anyway, let's talk about some future building here.
Yes, we will, because I want to get your thoughts real quick. Yay or nay on a scale of 0 to 10, whatever you want to use, on the new lane swap mechanics that are being dropped in, or the anti-lane swap mechanics, because I think there are a lot of things to talk about. I know Grapes has talked about it. I know a lot of people have been very critical, of course, and a lot of people have also mentioned the possibility of mid lane slightly influencing what you can do without even touching the top lane itself. So let's start with you,
Okay.
Yanni. Yay or nay, 0 out of 10, what do you think?
Okay, so the first thing before I actually give my yay or nay 0 out of 10, the first thing is that thing where the mid laner goes up and causes the turrets to turbo destroy the minions does not work. Because when the turret kills the minion, the top laner will get the gold for it.
Yes.
They'll also get a 20% EXP buff and 20% gold buff.
Yeah.
So you'll just actually be turbo feeding their top laner. You will be inting your face off. Do not do that. Hawk was wrong. Do not listen to Hawk.
Yeah, dude, I saw that tweet. I was like, Hawk, you did not read what it did, bro.
I was like, holy shit, is that really that insane? I go back and look, I'm like, no, don't do that.
They actually kind of thought it through, bro. They made sure, tried to make sure there's minimal loopholes.
Yeah, so I think as a fix, I like it as a fix, because I cannot remember the name of the rioter who announced this. But it's going to be a temporary fix until they find a more permanent solution, which I really respect that. I'm like, okay, great, because this is a lot that is seemingly random it won't really affect the average player. They won't really notice it. As a fix, as a temporary fix, it gets like a 10 from me. It's like, I think as a high-end player that's going to be executing lane swapping, this is something that's very easy to understand. It lasts short enough time in mid lane where your support is like not like super gated or anything like that. Obviously you might not be able to get a cheese level 1 gank off, which would sometimes happen in the past. Not really the biggest deal because it doesn't happen that often. However, as much as I think lane swaps are really, really poor to watch for a regular average viewing experience. I really like lane swaps, and the reason why is I love unique things in League of Legends. League of Legends has been one top, one jungle, one mid, two bot for a very, very long time. And it wasn't always that way. Back in like, late in like season 1, even like early season 2, it wasn't that way. You could do a lot of whatever. You could send a lot of mages bot, which that eventually came to be a thing later on, in League of Legends lore and life. I love the fact that you can play League of Legends a couple of different ways, and I don't like the fact that they're just gutting one of these ways instead of making it viable, but not something you are always inclined to do.
I feel like that's something they might try and work towards, though, because
I hope so.
now it is only swaps. Like swaps are
Well,
happening
that's not true.
every
That's not true. It's
well,
not
most
every
of the
single
time.
game. Most
Not
of
every
the time,
single game,
yes.
but most of the time. And so it
Yes.
is more dominating. So I
Yeah,
think
I think it's like what?
they want to at least get it back.
70-30 probably.
Yeah, they want to get it back so that regular lane assignments are the dominant
Yeah.
thing. And killing it now, okay, cool. But I agree with you. I think it'd be nice. 1 in 5, 1 in 6 games, a lane swap is good, and we go back to that kind of variance. I think
Yeah.
because it's cool. It's cool to have that extra analysis to sit here and think about, and have that those extra little strategies. It makes the game more fun in the sense
And the
that
games
it's not
play out
just
differently
repetitive.
because
Exactly.
obviously no game of League of Legends plays out the same. If the same 10 champions on the same map with the same teams played out the same way, guess what? This game would have been dead years ago. Nobody would be playing this game anymore. It would be boring as shit. Every game plays out differently, but it's that extra flavor of uniqueness. It's instead of getting vanilla ice cream, you get the vanilla and chocolate double scoop. That's the good shit right there.
Well, someone's gonna yell at you and say, "No, it's only chocolate" or something like that. Surely.
Well, vanilla is an objectively better flavor, but we won't talk about that
yet. All right. With that in mind, Ferris.
Ferris looks like he wants to fucking kill me.
Nah, bro.
Nah, he's
No?
sitting there like, listen, we're good. We talked about this enough. But Ferris, it sounded like you're kind of in agreement with Yanni in that same flavor. Short term, maybe it's good. There's still some hashing out, but what do you think?
Yeah, I agree. Temporary, like it's really cutthroat. It's like a real brutal change, but it's Riot has, I think the last patch they tried to make some changes, like the whole minion HP, all of this, to get rid of lane swaps, and they realized, okay, we're trying to make small changes to be permanent solutions to lane swaps. They don't care. They're still lane swapping. They're still lane swapping. They're still lane swapping. Okay, F it. Like, stop. Just stop. Here you go. We are going to throw this in your face and actually just stop doing this until we can kind of figure out a healthier way to do it. I think it's good. Temporary, yes. It's good. I hope they can actually, I don't know what they're going to do. Again, I'm horrible when analyzing this stuff, like game design. What should they do from that sense? Like what would actually legitimately stop this? But if it does, like, I just hope it doesn't take too long, I guess. But I don't really care because, I do like the traditional way of viewing. I just hope the lane swaps don't die forever. And I think that's also what Yanni said too. How they're going to do that, I don't know. But for now, I think it's good. I would say, yeah, like 8 out of 10, I would say. A 10 out of 10, I think, would be a permanent solution to kind of do what we want, which is have lane swaps happen every now and then and have that be a permanent change right here, right now. So I'll give it like a little bit lower of a rating as because it is just that temporary. But yeah, I think it's good. And hopefully we get to see that permanent solution come to light soon.
I mean, there's so many things to think about, and granted, there's a reason why we are just casters. We are here just to analyze, and sometimes we got to move up and down that ladder, but at the moment, I don't think any of us should ever be in that game design side. But it does give us good insight. As you said, 8 to 10 out of 10s on the temporary solution.
Yeah,
hopefully.
I wouldn't have the first fucking clue on how to fix this.
Yeah.
I would have no idea, bro.
That's why I'm not on the design team.
Like, I'm sure I could design probably a cool champion kit. I could probably, be like, yeah, maybe this ability should be a little bit different. What if we did this, bro? If they told me here, fix lane swaps. Here's a computer. I could like watch every single game of League of Legends and be like,
Yep. Listen, if I'm on that dev team, I'm giving Vigar a 180 plus ratio on his Q and then a 2K ratio on his R just for the hell of it. Got to bring
oh,
that boy back.
so like season 3 Vagar, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's what I played the dude. That's why I love him.
It was literally my level 1 to 30 champion. Dude's just an absolute goat. I miss
amazing.
the days of Deathfire Grasp.
Oh my
because
god.
it used to scale with
He's a good beginner friendly champion.
used to scale with your AP.
Listen, before we go down memory lane and before
no.
gets out of there, before Yanni goes off and sleep talks again with all that fantasy land realm stuff, we are going to close this out. We got amazing matches coming up in just 12 hours, so make sure you tune in to the LPL. You get to see some awesome faces on the LPL English side. Obviously, there are going to be some amazing matchups going on, and of course, that will
I can
all
tell
be
you who's casting.
Oh, there we go. Who is going to be on the desk for those?
Let's see. It's Hubby and Mazel.
All right, listen. Rewind it all the way back. Yanni gave us correct information. There was no reading of the wrong dates.
How about you just
reading
dub
of
me
the
over?
wrong. Listen, we do it
dub
live
it
here.
over.
We do it live. When we say aftermath, we truly mean
Let's just
aftermath.
re-record the episode, guys.
Oh
That's
yeah,
fine.
Yeah,
absolutely.
honestly, take
All
it
right.
from the top.
These
All right,
two
everybody,
are
welcome in.
going to be the death of me. The LPL recap episode 4 is done. We appreciate y'all for watching. Hit the like, hit the follow, all that stuff, or don't, because there is nothing else on this channel. But the aftermath has been so much fun, and we're excited to see what the next matches have in store. We will be here right before the grand finals as well to talk about that matchup later on down the road. So make sure to stay tuned, and we'll see you all later.